Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Game Meter. Aaron here. In this video, I'm going to be doing a reverse flight tutorial. So I'll explain it really quick a few times and then I'll go into detail and explain it step by step. So what you want to do is fly up at a completely vertical angle, then hold your brake just about all the way, but make sure you don't stall the plane. As your plane starts to stall, I like to flick my elevators using up and down on the left analog stick. If you manage to keep the plane straight enough, you'll fall backwards into reverse flight. And at this point, what you want to do is let the back of your plane swoop out to the left or right, but before it swoops out all the way, you use L1 or R1, depending on which way it's falling, to catch it. So if it swoops out to the right, you catch it with R1. If it swoops out to the left, you catch it with L1. At this point, you're pretty much holding R1 and using up and down and left and right on the left analog stick to keep yourself in this position. And that's reverse flight. So you go up at a completely straight angle, hold your brake all the way without stalling, let the plane fall back into reverse, using up and down on the left analog stick to keep yourself straight, and then let the back of the plane swoop out to the left or right, and catch it with R1 or L1, depending on which way your plane is falling. Okay, flying up at a completely straight angle. This is a very important step because the straighter you are, the easier it's going to be to counter into reverse flight. So what I do is use the top of the sky. By top of the sky, I mean the large circle that you see when you look directly up. It's not always so clear, and sometimes there's clouds completely blocking it, so make sure you pick a clear day for training. It's the center of the sky, and when your cursor is in the middle, you'll know you're flying up at a completely straight angle. So use it as a guideline. What I like to do, and I'll explain why in a second, is fly up with my cursor in the bottom half of the circle. And as my plane starts to stall, I use down on the left analog stick to flick my elevators, and I just flick them enough so that my cursor ends up in the middle, and you should time it right so that as your plane starts to fall, your cursor is in the middle. If done correctly, you'll fall directly into reverse flight, and you'll barely have to counter at all. And as your plane starts to fall backwards, your camera will turn around automatically, so don't worry about that. But the trick here is to use the left analog stick and R1 and L1 to reverse control your way down. If the bottom of your plane is swooping towards the top of your screen, you're pressing up on the left analog stick to counter. If the bottom of your plane is moving towards the bottom of your screen, you're using down on the left analog stick to counter. If the back of your plane is swooping to the right of your screen, then you're using R1 to counter. If it's swooping to the left of your screen, you're using L1 to counter. So the trick is to let your plane swoop to the left or the right. It's up to you which direction you want to let it swoop. So let it swoop to the right and let it go about 60 degrees before pressing R1 to catch it. Now you hold R1 in this position, but notice as I'm holding it, it's slowly working its way back to the left side. If I keep holding it, it will eventually swoop out to the left side and I'll have to press L1 to catch it. So what you want to do is hold it and then just let it go enough to let yourself fall back to the right side once in a while. So just hold R1 and then let go for like a moment once in a while. You'll see what the plane is doing, and eventually you'll be able to feel it out and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. At this step, you're also going to have to use left and right on the left analog stick to get yourself into this diagonal position. It's kind of like the sweet spot, that's where you want it to be. And you're also using up and down on the left analog stick to control how the plane falls. Your plane is going to want to fall in a spiral. Notice on my map how it's following a pattern. So if you're ever losing it, just return to the spiral to gain your momentum back. I can press up on the left analog stick to point the back of my plane more down and into the spiral to gain more momentum. Or I can press down on the left analog stick to point the back of my plane into the sky and get some height. But keep in mind, you have to keep enough speed to stay in this position, otherwise your plane is going to want to flip back into forward position. So it's kind of a hard thing to do, but just keep practicing and I'm sure that you'll get it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments section and I'll answer them, and I may even address them in later videos that I do. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.
ゲームイーター